Velvet Chains, a dark BSE romance. Chapter 1, Sold for a Debt. The first thing Seo Min noticed about the mansion was how quiet it was. Not peaceful quiet. Predator quiet. The kind that made your skin crawl because you knew something dangerous was breathing nearby. His wrists hurt from the zip ties. The expensive black car had stopped 10 minutes ago, but nobody had dragged him out yet. Rain tapped softly against the tinted windows while the men in suits smoked outside like they had all the time in the world. Seo Min sat frozen in the back seat while stage makeup slowly smeared beneath his eyes. 3 hours ago, he had been dancing beneath neon lights at a Clips Club. Now he'd been sold, actually sold, like property. His older brother had gambling debts, massive ones, and instead of paying them himself, he handed over Seo Min. The car door suddenly opened. Cold rain splashed against the pavement outside. "Out!" a deep voice ordered. Min swallowed hard before stepping onto the wet pavement. The cold stone bit against the thin soles of his black dance boots. Rain clung to the oversized black jacket he'd thrown over his stage clothes before being dragged from the club. Beneath it, shimmering silver straps crossed the fitted black fabric, hugging his waist and chest. Flashy enough for the stage, humiliating enough for this moment. One of the suited men shoved him forward. "Hurry up!" Min nearly stumbled as his boots clicked softly against the marble steps. The mansion in front of him looked less like a home and more like the headquarters of a criminal empire. Black marble stairs, armed guards, cameras everywhere, a prison disguised as luxury. The giant doors opened before they even reached them. Warm light spilled outside. And standing in the center of the entrance hall was the most terrifying man Min had ever seen. Tall, broad shoulders, black dress shirt with the sleeves rolled up, tattooed hands, sharp eyes cold enough to freeze blood. Kang Jae-hyun, the Mafia boss of the Black Veil Syndicate, the man people whispered about online like an urban legend. They said he drowned traitors in concrete. Said he once shot a man in the middle of a luxury restaurant because the man interrupted dinner. Said he never smiled. Ever. Min suddenly understood why. Jae-hyun looked at him the way wolves looked at injured prey, slowly, carefully, dangerously. One of the guards bowed his head. "The debt payment has arrived, boss." Min flinched at the words. Debt payment, not person, not human. Jae-hyun stepped closer. His expensive shoes echoed softly across the marble floor. "How old?" Min stiffened. 21. "Occupation?" Min hesitated. "Dancer." "Stripper?" The humiliation burned instantly. "No." Jae-hyun tilted his head slightly. "Then why are you dressed like one?" The guards laughed quietly. Min's face burned hotter. Jae-hyun didn't laugh. He simply stared. That somehow felt worse. Min forced himself to speak. "My brother said if I came willingly, he wouldn't get hurt." "And you believed him?" The question caught him off guard. Jae-hyun's voice wasn't mocking. It sounded almost curious. Min looked away. "I didn't have a choice." Silence filled the hall. Then, "Cut him loose." The guards blinked. "Boss?" I said, "Cut him loose." The zip ties around Min's wrists were removed immediately. Blood rushed painfully back into his hands. Min rubbed his wrists carefully while watching Jae-hyun with caution. Dangerous men were easiest to fear when they acted cruel. But calm men, quiet men, those were the ones who ruined lives. Jae-hyun removed his black suit jacket slowly, then tossed it toward Min. "Put that on." Min barely caught it. The jacket smelled expensive, dark cologne and smoke. "I'm not cold," Min whispered carefully. "I didn't ask." The room instantly became tense. The guards looked terrified. Min realized too late he'd spoken back. Everyone in the city knew Kang Jae-hyun hated disobedience. But instead of getting angry, the Mafia boss suddenly smirked, very faint, barely there. Yet the entire room froze in shock. because apparently Kang Jae-hyun smiling was rarer than seeing snow in hell. "You've got guts," Jae-hyun murmured. Min immediately regretted existing. One of the guards coughed awkwardly. "Boss, where should we put him?" "Put him. Again. Like furniture." Jae-hyun's dark eyes returned to Min slowly. "In my wing." The room went dead silent. Every guard looked horrified. Even Min froze. "Your wing," someone repeated weakly. Jae-hyun's expression hardened instantly. "Do you have a problem with my decision?" "No, boss." "Good." He turned away without another word. "Follow me." Min stared at the man's broad back in disbelief. This couldn't be real. Mafia bosses didn't personally babysit debt hostages. This felt wrong, dangerously wrong. Still, Min followed. Because refusing a man like Kang Jae-hyun probably got people buried in forests. The mansion hallways were enormous. Dark wood, gold lighting, paintings worth more than houses. But what Min noticed most was the silence. Nobody spoke. Nobody even looked directly at Jae-hyun. Fear followed him like perfume. When they finally reached the private wing upstairs, another man was already there waiting. And unlike Jae-hyun, this one smiled. A lot. "Hyung," the stranger drawled lazily, "so the rumors were true." Min's breath caught. The man leaning against the wall was absurdly handsome. Silver rings, dark gray hair, sharp fox-like eyes, expensive silk shirt partly unbuttoned. He looked dangerous in a completely different way. Less wolf, more snake. Jae-hyun looked annoyed. "You're drunk again." "I'm celebrating." The man's gaze slid slowly toward Min, then paused, and paused, and paused. The teasing expression disappeared completely. "Oh," he said softly. Something about that single word made Min nervous, very nervous. The stranger walked closer slowly, too close. "What's your name?" Min hesitated. "Seo Min." The man smiled. "Pretty name." Jae-hyun's voice instantly turned colder. "Back off, Tae-won." "Ah, so this was Tae-won, the infamous step-cousin, the one tabloids called the Black Veil Syndicate's Mad Prince, a gambler, a manipulator, a man rumored to ruin people for fun." Tae-won ignored Jae-hyun completely. His eyes stayed locked on Min. "You dance?" Min nodded slowly. Tae-won looked genuinely delighted. "Can you dance for me?" "No." The answer slipped out automatically. The hallway became silent. One guard near the stairs looked ready to faint. Tae-won blinked once, then laughed. Actually laughed. "Oh, I like him." Jae-hyun's expression darkened immediately. "No." Tae-won raised an eyebrow. "No what?" "You're not touching him." Min nearly choked. "Excuse him?" Tae-won looked amused. "Already possessive?" "He belongs to me." The words hit harder than they should have. Min's stomach twisted painfully. Belongs to me, right, because he'd been sold. Tae-won noticed the flicker of hurt across Min's face instantly. His smile faded slightly. Interesting. Very interesting. Jae-hyun opened a nearby door. "This is your room." Min stepped inside slowly and froze. It was enormous. Soft lighting, a king-sized bed, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city skyline, a private bathroom bigger than his old apartment. This wasn't a hostage room. It looked more luxurious than anything Min had ever seen. Jae-hyun spoke behind him. "You'll stay here." Min turned carefully. "Why?" "Because I said so." That's not an answer. The guards looked horrified again. Apparently nobody spoke to Kang Jae-hyun this way and survived, but Jae-hyun simply stared at him. Long, heavy silence filled the room. Then, "Because if I leave you downstairs," Jae-hyun said quietly, "someone will try to touch you." Min's breath caught. Tae-won leaned against the doorway, smiling faintly. Too late. Jae-hyun shot him a deadly glare. And for the first time all night, Min realized something terrifying. The Mafia boss wasn't the only dangerous man in this mansion, and somehow, both of them were already looking at him like they wanted something that could destroy all three of them. Velvet Chains. Chapter 2. The collar around his throat. Seo Min didn't sleep. How could he? Every sound inside the mansion made his nerves tighten. Footsteps in distant hallways, doors quietly opening. Low voices downstairs, the faint crackling of thunder outside the massive windows. Everything reminded him that he was trapped inside a predator's den. The oversized bed felt too soft beneath him. Too expensive, too unfamiliar. He sat curled against the headboard, still wearing the stage outfit from the club, Kang Jae-hyun's black suit jacket draped over his shoulders. The scent clung to him now. Smoke, leather, danger. Min hated that part of him, found the smell comforting. A soft knock suddenly echoed through the room. Min instantly stiffened. Nobody waited for an answer. The door opened slowly. A woman stepped inside, pushing a cart of folded clothes. Unlike the armed guards downstairs, she looked calm, older, elegant, sharp-eyed. "Good evening," she said politely. "I'm Mrs. Han." Min stayed silent cautiously. "I manage this wing of the estate." Estate, not mansion. That somehow sounded even richer. Mrs. Han looked him over quietly before sighing. "You poor thing." Min blinked in surprise. That was the first genuine kindness he'd heard all night. She placed folded clothes neatly on the bed. "Boss ordered these for you." Min looked down. Soft sweaters, black fitted pants, designer clothes that probably cost more than 3 months of his rent. His chest tightened uncomfortably. "Why?" Mrs. Han raised an eyebrow. "Because he disliked what you were wearing." Min flushed instantly. Great, humiliating. Mrs. Han's expression softened slightly. "He's never brought anyone here before." Min looked up quickly. "What?" "The East Wing belongs only to him." She paused carefully. "Even family rarely enters." Family. Min immediately thought of Tae-won, that smiling snake. As if summoned by the thought, another voice suddenly spoke from the doorway. "Talking about me already?" Min nearly jumped. Tae-won leaned casually against the frame, holding a glass of whiskey. How was he this silent? Mrs. Han looked unimpressed. "You shouldn't be here." "And yet I am." His gaze drifted lazily toward Min, still wearing that dangerous smile. "You clean up nicely." Min immediately pulled Jae-hyun's jacket tighter around himself. Tae-won noticed and smirked wider. "That possessive already, sweetheart?" "I'm not your sweetheart." Mrs. Han looked seconds away from developing a migraine. Tae-won entered anyway. Black rings glinted against the whiskey glass in his hand. Min watched him carefully. Everything about Tae-won screamed trouble. Not loud danger like Jae-hyun. No. Tae-won looked like the kind of man who destroyed lives while smiling beautifully. "You dance professionally?" Tae-won asked. Min hesitated. "Mostly clubs." "Pole dancing too?" "No. A shame." "Tae-won," Mrs. Han warned sharply. He ignored her completely. Min crossed his arms defensively. "Why do you care?" Tae-won tilted his head slowly. "Because you're interesting." "That's a stupid reason." "It's enough for me." Min frowned. People like Tae-won were the worst kind of dangerous, playful, unreadable. The type that treated emotions like entertainment. Before Min could respond, heavy footsteps approached the hallway. Tae-won sighed dramatically. "Ah, the husband returns." Min nearly choked. Jae-hyun appeared seconds later. His sharp gaze immediately landed on Tae-won. "What are you doing in my wing?" "Visiting." "Leave." "So cold." "Tae-won." The warning in his voice darkened the entire room. But instead of leaving immediately, Tae-won suddenly stepped closer to Min. Very close, too close. Then he lifted a hand slowly toward Min's throat. Min froze. Long fingers brushed lightly against the black collar wrapped around Min's neck as part of the stage outfit. Tae-won hummed softly. A collar. Min slapped his hand away instantly. The room went silent. Tae-won blinked once in surprise, then smiled, slowly. "Oh," he murmured, "you've got claws too." Jae-hyun's expression turned ice cold. "Get out." This time Tae-won actually listened. But before leaving, he leaned beside Min's ear slightly and whispered softly enough that only Min could hear. "If he scares you, come find me instead." Then he walked away smiling. The door clicked shut. Silence swallowed the room immediately. Mrs. Han wisely disappeared moments later, leaving Min alone with Kang Jae-hyun, which somehow felt worse. Jae-hyun's gaze slowly moved toward the black collar still around Min's throat. His jaw tightened slightly. "Take that off." Min touched the collar instinctively. "It's part of the costume. You're not on stage anymore." Min swallowed. Something about the way Jae-hyun stared at the collar made heat crawl up his spine, like the Mafia boss hated seeing it, or maybe hated imagining other people seeing it. Min stood slowly. "I can take care of myself." "I know." "Then stop acting like I'm helpless." Jae-hyun stared at him for a long moment. "You think this house is safe?" Min didn't answer, because honestly, no. Not even a little. Jae-hyun walked closer slowly. Min's pulse instantly sped up. God, the man was huge. Up close it was overwhelming. The tattoos disappearing beneath rolled sleeves. The expensive watch around his wrist. The scar near his throat. The terrifying calmness in his eyes. "You were brought here because your brother owed me money," Jae-hyun said quietly. "That debt belongs to me now." Min hated how cold the words sounded. "Am I supposed to thank you for not killing me?" "No." "Then what do you want from me?" Silence. For the first time, Jae-hyun actually looked uncertain. Just for a second. Gone so quickly, Min almost imagined it. Then the Mafia boss reached forward suddenly. Min flinched instinctively, but instead of hurting him, Jae-hyun's fingers slowly hooked beneath the black collar around Min's throat. Their eyes locked, and with one smooth movement, he removed it. The sudden absence made Min's breathing hitch. Jae-hyun stared at the collar in his hand with visible disgust. "Don't wear things like this around men like Tae-won." Min's cheeks burned instantly. "Why?" Jae-hyun looked directly into his eyes. "Because he'll take it as an invitation." The air suddenly felt too warm, too heavy. Min stepped backward instinctively. But Jae-hyun caught his wrist before he could move far. Not rough, not painful, just firm, possessive. Min's breath caught. Jae-hyun looked down at him silently for several long seconds. Then his thumb brushed lightly over the bruises left behind from the zip ties earlier. His expression darkened. "Did they hurt you?" The question stunned Min, because the voice sounded genuinely angry. Not at him, at them. Min looked away carefully. "I'm fine." Jae-hyun didn't release his wrist. "You're a terrible liar." The low rumble of his voice sent unwanted heat through Min's stomach. God, this was bad, very bad, because Seo Min's survival instincts were beginning to fail him. And the most dangerous part, the Mafia boss holding his wrist suddenly looked at him less like property and more like something precious he wanted to protect. Velvet Chains, Chapter 3, Dangerous Attention. The next morning, Seo Min woke to screaming downstairs, not frightened screaming, terrified screaming. He shot upright instantly. For one confused second, he forgot where he was. Then the black marble bedroom, the skyline view, the suffocating luxury all came rushing back. The mansion. The Mafia, Jae-hyun. Min quickly climbed out of bed. The screaming echoed again, male, desperate. Min hesitated near the bedroom door before slowly opening it. Voices carried from downstairs. "Boss, please!" A loud crack echoed, then silence. Min's stomach dropped. He moved carefully through the upstairs hallway before stopping near the staircase. Below, a man knelt on the marble floor, bleeding from the mouth. Several guards surrounded him, and standing directly in front of him was Kang Jae-hyun. Cold, expressionless, beautifully terrifying. The bleeding man shook violently. I swear I didn't steal from you. You skimmed from shipment accounts for 8 months, Jae-hyun replied calmly. His voice was horrifyingly soft. You thought I wouldn't notice. The man started crying, actually crying. Min had never seen a grown man look so terrified before. Jae-hyun crouched slowly in front of him. You know what disappoints me? The man sobbed harder. The money, he whispered weakly. No. Jae-hyun tilted his head slightly. It's the stupidity. Min couldn't move, couldn't breathe. This was the real Kang Jae-hyun. Not the strangely protective man upstairs. This one looked capable of murder without blinking. The bleeding man suddenly noticed Min standing on the staircase. Panic filled his eyes instantly. Please! A gunshot exploded through the mansion. Min flinched violently. The man collapsed, dead. Silence swallowed everything. Min stared in horror. Jae-hyun slowly looked up toward the staircase. Their eyes met. For a moment, nobody moved. Then Jae-hyun handed the gun calmly to a guard. Clean this up, and walked upstairs, toward Min. Every instinct screamed, run. But Min's legs refused to move. Jae-hyun stopped directly in front of him, close enough to smell gunpowder. You should be asleep. Min stared at him. You just killed someone. Yes. No remorse, no hesitation, just truth. Min's chest tightened. Jae-hyun watched him carefully. Are you scared of me now? Min wanted to say yes. He should say yes, but instead, I think everyone here is scared of you. Something unreadable flickered across Jae-hyun's face. Then, good. And somehow that answer made Min shiver harder. Chapter 4. The step-cousins game. Tae-won cornered him 3 days later, literally. Min had been trying to escape the suffocating mansion atmosphere by wandering the private garden. Huge mistake. Running away already. Min nearly jumped. Tae-won sat lazily atop the stone fountain wall, smoking a cigarette like some spoiled prince from a crime drama. How do you keep appearing out of nowhere? Tae-won grinned. You keep thinking of me. I absolutely do not. Denial. Min turned to leave immediately. Tae-won hopped down smoothly and blocked his path. Annoying, beautiful, dangerous. Min hated that combination. You're avoiding me, Tae-won said. You flirt like a walking red flag. Tae-won laughed loudly. That's the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me. Min rolled his eyes. Tae-won suddenly stepped closer. Close enough for Min to smell expensive cologne and whiskey. Tell me something, Tae-won murmured softly. What? Do you know why Jae-hyun keeps you upstairs? Min stiffened. No. Tae-won smiled faintly. Because he's obsessed already. That's ridiculous. Is it? Min opened his mouth, then stopped. Because honestly, maybe not. Jae-hyun barely let guards near him, watched him constantly, bought him clothes, protected him. The realization made Min nervous. Tae-won noticed immediately. There it is, he whispered. What? The panic, Min frowned. You enjoy making people uncomfortable. Yes, at least you're honest. Tae-won laughed again. God, he laughed too much for a Mafia prince. Then suddenly his fingers brushed lightly against Min's jaw. Gentle, unexpectedly gentle. You're prettier when you're angry, Tae-won murmured. Min instantly shoved him away. Stop touching me. For the first time, Tae-won's smile faded slightly. Something darker entered his eyes, not anger, want. You know, he said quietly, the more you reject me. He stepped closer again. The worse this is going to get. Chapter 5, Jealousy. The nightclub was chaos. Min hated being back already. Music pounded through the crowded room while flashing neon lights painted everything red and purple. Jae-hyun sat in the private VIP booth above the dance floor watching silently, like a king observing prey. Min stood beside him stiffly. I said I didn't want to come. And I said you're safer with me than alone in the mansion. That logic makes no sense. Jae-hyun ignored him. Below them, dancers moved beneath the lights, while wealthy criminals drank champagne worth thousands. Min recognized some faces from the news, politicians, CEOs, monsters disguised as businessmen. One man suddenly approached their booth smiling. Well, the stranger drawled, this must be the famous dancer. Jae-hyun's expression instantly hardened. The man ignored it. His eyes traveled slowly over Min. Min wanted to punch him already. You're even prettier than rumors said. Min blinked. Rumors? The stranger laughed. Half the underworld is talking about you. Jae-hyun's glass cracked in his hand. The entire booth went silent. Oops. The stranger immediately looked nervous. Jae-hyun spoke calmly, too calmly. Leave. The man swallowed hard. Jae-hyun, I was just now. The stranger vanished instantly. Min stared. You scared him? Yes. You cracked a glass? Yes. Min narrowed his eyes slowly. Are you jealous? Silence, then. No. Liar, terrible liar. Min almost smiled, and unfortunately Jae-hyun noticed. Chapter 6, Dance for Me. Rain hammered against the mansion windows that night. Min stood alone inside the private ballroom upstairs. Apparently rich Mafia bosses casually owned ballrooms now. Cool. He stared at his reflection in the mirrored wall before slowly beginning to dance. Not club dancing. Real dancing. The kind he used to love before survival turned it into work. Soft movements, controlled breathing, graceful turns. For the first time in weeks, Min felt free. Then a voice spoke quietly behind him. You're different when you dance like this. Min froze. Jae-hyun leaned against the doorway watching silently. No teasing, no coldness. Just quiet observation. Min looked away awkwardly. You weren't supposed to see that. Why? Because this kind matters to me. Jae-hyun slowly walked closer. You think I'd mock it? Min shrugged slightly. People usually do. Jae-hyun stopped directly beside him, then dance again. Min blinked. What? For me? The word sent heat crawling up Min's neck. Jae-hyun's dark eyes never left him. Min's pulse sped up. Slowly, he began moving again. The room felt strangely intimate. No music, just breathing, rain. And Jae-hyun staring at him like he was something beautiful. When Min finally stopped, Jae-hyun spoke quietly. You look happiest when you forget people are watching. Something about those words hurt, because nobody had ever noticed that before. Chapter 7. The Touch. Tae-won kissed him first. Technically, Min blamed exhaustion and alcohol, and the fact Tae-won looked unfairly attractive leaning across the poker table at 2 a.m. You're losing badly, Tae-won teased. I hate you. Liar. Min rolled his eyes. Then Tae-won suddenly reached over and wiped cream from the corner of Min's mouth with his thumb. The touch lingered. Too long. Min's breathing hitched slightly. Tae-won noticed immediately. Dangerous mistake. His expression darkened slowly. Can I kiss you? He asked softly. Min should have said no. Instead, you ask permission. Tae-won smiled faintly. Only with things I actually want. Oh, that line was criminal. Min looked away quickly, and Tae-won took that hesitation as permission. The kiss was slow, warm, unexpectedly gentle, nothing like the teasing flirtation Tae-won usually hid behind. For one terrifying second, Min kissed him back. Then the ballroom doors slammed open. Jae-hyun stood there. Silence exploded across the room. Tae-won leaned back slowly, smiling. Min nearly died on the spot. Jae-hyun's expression looked murderous. Actually murderous. Chapter 8. Mine. The fight started 15 seconds later. You touched him. Jae-hyun's voice sounded deadly calm. Tae-won looked delighted. Yes. Min wanted to disappear. Tae-won, Jae-hyun warned. Oh, don't look at me like that. Tae-won smirked lazily. You were taking too long. The temperature in the room dropped instantly. Jae-hyun moved so fast Min barely saw it. Suddenly, Tae-won was slammed against the wall. Guards downstairs began panicking immediately. Apparently this happened before. Cool. Fantastic family dynamic. Jae-hyun's hand gripped Tae-won's collar tightly. I told you not to touch him. And I told you, Tae-won hissed back. He's not property. Min's chest tightened. The room became silent. Because for the first time, someone had actually defended him. Jae-hyun's jaw clenched hard. Then his gaze shifted toward Min, dark, intense, possessive, and terrifyingly emotional. You kissed him? Min swallowed hard. Yes. The answer visibly hurt him. Min saw it, actually saw it, and somehow that hurt worse than fear. Jae-hyun slowly released Tae-won, then looked directly at Min. If you want him, he said quietly, I'll back away. The words shocked everyone, especially Tae-won. Min stared at him speechlessly, because the Mafia boss looked genuinely serious and heartbreakingly miserable. Chapter 9. Heartbeat. Min couldn't sleep again. So naturally he ended up on the mansion rooftop at 3 a.m. questioning every life decision he'd ever made. Cold wind swept through the city skyline. Min leaned against the railing quietly, then footsteps approached behind him. He didn't need to turn around. Jae-hyun. You're avoiding me, the Mafia boss said softly. Min sighed. You threatened your cousin because of me. He kissed you. You kill people over smaller things. Fair? Min accidentally laughed, very accidentally. Jae-hyun looked startled for half a second, then something softer entered his eyes. God, that expression was dangerous. Min looked away quickly. You really would have let me choose him? Silence lingered. Then, yes. Min turned slowly. Jae-hyun stood beneath the rooftop lights wearing a black coat while wind moved through his dark hair. Beautiful, terrifying, lonely. Why? Min whispered. And for the first time since they met Kang, Jae-hyun answered honestly. Because I think I'm already in love with you. The world stopped. Min's heartbeat stumbled painfully. Jae-hyun looked almost angry admitting it, like emotions offended him personally. I tried not to be, he muttered quietly. You're reckless, stubborn. You argue with me constantly. Min stared speechlessly. Jae-hyun stepped closer slowly. But every time you walk into a room, his voice lowered. I look for you first. Min's chest ached suddenly. Nobody had ever said something like that to him before. Not genuinely. Not like this. The cold wind howled around them. Neither moved. Then, quietly, almost helplessly, Min asked the most dangerous question possible. What happens if I fall for both of you? Velvet Chains. Chapter 10. The answer he didn't expect. The rooftop became deathly silent. Even the wind seemed to pause. Jae-hyun stared at Min like the question physically hurt him. Both? Min immediately regretted speaking. Fantastic. Now he wanted to throw himself off the roof. I didn't mean you did. Jae-hyun's voice remained calm, too calm. That somehow made it worse. Min looked away quickly. I don't understand either of you, he admitted quietly. One second Tae-won acts like everything's a joke, then suddenly he looks at me like I matter. And you, his voice caught slightly. You look at me like I'm something precious while standing beside dead bodies. Jae-hyun flinched, actually flinched. Min stared in shock. The Mafia boss slowly leaned against the rooftop railing beside him. For once, he looked tired, not dangerous, not powerful, just exhausted. You shouldn't love men like us, Jae-hyun murmured, but I already do. The confession slipped out before Min could stop it. Silence. Jae-hyun slowly turned toward him, and Min realized too late the Mafia boss had stopped breathing for a second. Say that again. Min's face burned instantly. No. Seo Min, no. For the first time in history, Kang Jae-hyun smiled openly, soft, real, devastatingly handsome. Min's heart nearly exploded. Chapter 11. Blood on white marble. The attack happened during dinner. One second, Min was arguing with Tae-won over spicy noodles. The next gunshot shattered the mansion windows. Everything exploded into chaos. Down! Jae-hyun grabbed Min instantly. Glass rained across the dining room. Guards stormed forward, shouting into radios while bullets tore through the walls. Min's ears rang violently. Tae-won cursed sharply while flipping the dining table for cover. What the hell? Rival syndicate! Jae-hyun snapped coldly. More gunshots erupted outside. Min's pulse spiraled out of control. This wasn't a movie. People were actually dying downstairs. Jae-hyun shoved a gun into Tae-won's hand. Take him upstairs. Tae-won looked offended. You're giving me babysitting duty. You're the only one he listens to. Min blinked. Excuse him? Tae-won grinned immediately. Ah, we're bonding. Tae-won. Fine. Before Min could argue, Tae-won grabbed his wrist and dragged him through the hallway. Gunfire echoed throughout the mansion. Min's breathing turned shaky. Tae-won! You're okay, Tae-won said quickly. For once, he sounded serious. They reached the upstairs hallway just as another explosion shook the mansion. Min stumbled. Tae-won instantly caught him against his chest. Strong arms wrapped around him automatically. You good? Min nodded weakly, then froze, because Tae-won's silk shirt was stained red. Blood. Tae-won! It's not mine. Min nearly collapsed from relief. Tae-won stared down at him strangely after that, like Min's panic meant something important. And maybe it did. Chapter 12. The Man Who Never Begged. Jae-hyun returned 3 hours later covered in blood, not injured, just drenched in someone else's. Min stood from the couch immediately. You're bleeding. Not mine. Min hated how relieved he felt hearing that. Jae-hyun noticed. Of course he noticed. The Mafia boss walked toward him slowly while guards cleaned blood from the downstairs floors. Like this was normal. Min's chest tightened painfully. How do you live like this? Jae-hyun went still. Min gestured helplessly toward the mansion. The guns, the violence, the constant fear. Jae-hyun looked at him silently for a long moment. Then, because if I stop, he said quietly, everyone under me dies. The answer stunned Min. Jae-hyun looked away slightly. My father built this organization through fear. If I appear weak, every enemy we have will come for us. His voice lowered. For Tae-won. For the staff. For you. Min's breath caught. The room suddenly felt too small. Jae-hyun stepped closer carefully. I know what I am, he murmured, but I've never wanted to be better for someone before. God, that hurt, because he sounded honest, painfully honest. Then quietly, the most feared mafia boss in the city whispered, "Please don't hate me." Min's heart shattered instantly, because men like Kang Jae-hyun probably never begged for anything. Chapter 13. Tae-won's Secret. Min found the photographs accidentally. He'd entered Tae-won's room searching for him only to freeze beside the desk. Photos, hundreds of them, all of Min, sleeping on the couch, laughing during dinner, standing in the garden, dancing alone in the ballroom. Min stared in horror. What the hell? Tae-won appeared behind him silently, and unlike usual, he didn't smile. You weren't supposed to see those yet. Yet. Min spun around. You took stalker photos of me. Tae-won sighed dramatically. When you say it like that, it sounds concerning. Because it is. Tae-won walked closer slowly. No teasing, no games, just raw honesty. I knew I was screwed the moment I saw you. Min's anger stumbled slightly. Tae-won rubbed the back of his neck awkwardly, which looked bizarre on a man normally overflowing with confidence. You looked terrified that first night, he admitted quietly. But you still argued with Jae-hyun anyway. His eyes softened. And I thought, oh, there goes my sanity. Min's pulse sped up dangerously. Tae-won stopped directly in front of him. I flirt because if I act serious around you, he whispered, I think I'll lose my mind. Oh no. That was somehow worse. Chapter 14, The First Kiss That Mattered. Jae-hyun kissed him differently. Not playful like Tae-won, not teasing, not careful, desperate. Min barely had time to breathe before being pushed gently against the ballroom piano. Rain hammered outside again, because apparently their lives were legally required to include dramatic weather. Jae-hyun's hand cupped Min's jaw carefully, like he was afraid Min might disappear. Tell me to stop, Jae-hyun whispered against his lips. Min should have. Instead, he kissed him back harder. That seemed to destroy the mafia boss completely. Jae-hyun made a low sound in his throat before pulling Min closer instantly. The kiss turned messy, hungry, emotional. Months of tension collapsing all at once. Min's fingers tangled in Jae-hyun's dark hair automatically, and the mafia boss nearly lost control right there. When they finally pulled apart, both breathing hard, Jae-hyun rested his forehead against Min's. You're dangerous, he muttered shakily. Min laughed softly. Says the mafia boss. You're worse. And somehow Min believed him. Chapter 15. Jealous monsters, Tae-won found out immediately. Of course he did. Probably smelled the romance in the air like a demonic bloodhound. You kissed him without me, Tae-won asked dramatically during breakfast. Min nearly choked on coffee. Jae-hyun looked entirely unapologetic. Yes, rude. You kissed him first. That was different. How? I'm prettier. Min buried his face in his hands. Why was this his life? Tae-won suddenly leaned across the table toward Min. So, he purred lazily, which one of us kisses better? Min turned bright red instantly. Jae-hyun's expression darkened. Tae-won. What? I'm curious, Min pointed accusingly. You're both insane. Tae-won grinned proudly, and yet you're still here. Unfortunately true. Chapter 16. The Choice. You have to choose eventually. The words haunted Min for days, because deep down he knew Jae-hyun was right. This couldn't last forever. Eventually someone would get hurt. Probably all three of them. Min sat alone in the ballroom late that night trying not to spiral emotionally. Then footsteps approached. Tae-won. He sat beside Min quietly. Rare. You're thinking too loud again, Tae-won murmured. Min sighed tiredly. I don't want to hurt either of you. Tae-won's teasing smile faded slightly. You won't. Yes, I will. Silence. Then unexpectedly, Tae-won leaned against Min's shoulder gently. You know what the worst part is? He whispered. Min looked at him quietly. I think Jae-hyun deserves you. The confession stunned him. Tae-won laughed weakly afterward. Disgusting, right? I sound emotionally stable. Min's chest hurt suddenly, because beneath all the flirting and chaos, Tae-won genuinely loved his cousin, and maybe that made this harder. Chapter 17. Tae and Min got kidnapped, which honestly felt inevitable at this point. One second he was leaving a dance studio, the next a bag covered his head. Cool. Fantastic. When Min woke up, he was tied to a chair inside an abandoned warehouse. A rival syndicate boss smiled coldly from across the room. Kang Jae-hyun's little obsession. Min immediately hated this conversation. You know, the man mused lazily, he killed 3 of my men because of you. Min's stomach dropped. The warehouse doors suddenly exploded open. Gunfire erupted everywhere, and through the chaos Jae-hyun appeared, followed by Tae-won. Both looked absolutely murderous. The rival boss barely had time to react before Jae-hyun shot him directly in the chest. No hesitation, no mercy. Min stared wide-eyed. Jae-hyun immediately crossed the room toward him, hands shaking slightly while cutting the ropes. You hurt? He demanded. Min blinked in shock. The Mafia boss looked terrified, actually terrified. Tae-won crouched beside them, breathing heavily. We almost lost our minds looking for you. Min's heart clenched painfully, because neither man looked angry. It just scared. Chapter 18. I love you too. The confession happened accidentally, again. Apparently Min's life was just emotional disasters now. You idiots nearly started a war over me. Jae-hyun looked unapologetic. Yes. Tae-won nodded. Absolutely. Min stared at both of them in disbelief. That's not romantic. We know, Tae-won admitted, but we were scared. Silence filled the room. Then softly, painfully softly, one whispered, I can survive enemies. His dark eyes locked onto Min, but not losing you. Min's throat tightened instantly. Tae-won laughed quietly beside them. Well, guess we're crying tonight. And before Min could stop himself, I love you too. Silence. Absolute silence. Then Tae-won screamed into a couch pillow. Jae-hyun looked like someone had shot him emotionally. Min immediately regretted everything. Too late now. Chapter 19. Home weeks later, the mansion finally felt different, warmer, safer. Home. Min danced in the ballroom again one rainy evening, but this time he wasn't alone. Jae-hyun watched quietly from the piano while Tae-won sprawled dramatically across a couch, criticizing everyone's emotional stability. Your posture screams unresolved trauma, Tae-won announced. Min threw a pillow at him. Jae-hyun actually laughed. The sound stunned the entire room. Tae-won pointed dramatically. There, again, he's healing. Jae-hyun looked ready to commit murder. Min laughed so hard he nearly fell over. And for the first time in a very long time, nobody felt lonely anymore. Chapter 20. Velvet Chains. Months later, rumors spread through the underworld constantly about the terrifying Mafia boss growing softer, about the dangerous heir smiling more, about the dancer who somehow tamed both monsters. Most people thought the rumors were fake until they saw it themselves, because whenever Seo Min entered a room, Kang Jae-hyun looked for him first, and Tae-won followed right behind, always. One rainy night, Min stood on the mansion balcony between them, watching city lights glow beneath the storm clouds. Jae-hyun wrapped a coat carefully around Min's shoulders. Tae-won stole the umbrella just to annoy everyone. Min rolled his eyes affectionately. You two are exhausting. And you love us anyway, Tae-won replied proudly. Unfortunately true. Jae-hyun's hand slipped quietly into Min's, warm, steady. Home. and standing between two dangerous men who would burn the world for him, Seo Min realized something unexpected. Maybe velvet chains were still chains, but somehow in their hands they had begun to feel a lot like love.